Hello everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen workshop. Table's already covered. I've got the sled on the table. In my last video, I actually took this thing out into the woods to test it. Just a short day trip. And yes, I did find this just a little bit short and awkward. So today my project, I'm going to turn this into a Pulk Sled. For those who aren't familiar, a Pulk Sled is two plastic poles crossed and you attach them to your hips. That way when you're pulling the sled, your hands free, you're actually pulling with your waist and your shoulders and your legs. But it prevents the sled with just the rope. If I hit just a little bit of an incline and I stop, if that sled decides to keep going, it's taking me out. Whereas with those poles, they will help to stop the sled before it comes to hit me. And they also help in the steering a little bit. So, first thing I gotta do is take this rope off. So let's get this knot untied. And now I can save this rope for a later use. The remnants of the yellow cord that I put around the sled, I'm going to use that in the next step. I need a loop here and here that my Pulk poles can connect to. So what I've done, I created a bite and pushed it up through the hole. Now I'm just going to tie a knot in it. And that's going to create one loop. But I need one on either side. So let me flip this sled over. Now I'm purposely leaving this rope long so that I have enough to do what I'm doing. Right now I'm basically just trying to tie this stopper knot as close down to the bottom as I can get it. So that there's only a little bit of play. There. And now I just tied a loop in the rope. I need to create another bite. Push it down through this hole. Now if I tie another knot into this loop, now I have both my loops to connect my poles to. And with my loop under here, I can basically use a trucker's hitch. So I don't need to tie a stopper knot at this end. Just by using the trucker's hitch here, should be able to keep it nice and snug. So that's good and tight. So I'm just tying a couple of quick knots. With a simple overhand knot. Just to use as a stopper. And now there's no way that's coming apart. And this is the one and only tool that I'm going to need for this entire project. This and a Bic lighter. So now that we've got the two loops at the front of the sled, I need my two poles for the Pulk. I bought a section of 1/2-inch PVC pipe. And it needs to be cut in half. Now when I bought it, it was a 10-foot section, but there's always that 2-inch section that's flared. I cut that end off already. So instead of two 5-foot sections, I should end up with two sections at 4'11". So I'm going to make a mark here at 4'11". Who's really going to cry for an inch? They say 5 foot is the length to go. Now this side should be 4'11". And it's 4'10" 5/8". So just to be in the center, we'll move that line right there. We'll call it 4'10" 3/4". As I said earlier, the only real tool I need is my Swiss Army knife. I could go through all my tools and find my little hacksaw, but honestly this will be just as quick. Now the one thing I did forget to bring with me, I'm going to have to go get it, is a little bit of sandpaper. Just to get rid of the sharp edges around the pipe here. I'll be right back. So now I have, it's just a 60 grit sandpaper. It could be anything. It's not like it's for major work. It's just to remove some of the sharp edges. Rough edges have been dealt with. Now that I'm done with the messy sanding work, I'm going to wipe all the dust out of the bottom of the sled here. Okay, the mess is all cleaned up. And now we've got our two poles, pretty much identical in length. Yep, identical. Now I have a little bit thicker rope. I believe it's 3/8. So now what we need to do is feed this through the pipe. And now that we've got it through, do the same thing and just tie a loop on the end. And now we need a loop at this end as well. And again, with the handy dandy Swiss Army knife, and our trusty Bic lighter. Just trying to melt that together so that it doesn't fray. So now we've got a pole with a loop at either end. So I'm going to do the same thing with this pole. Now, we're almost at the end of this project. Next step, carabiners. So I put one at either end of these poles. Now my poles are ready to go with the carabiner at either end. The idea is take this carabiner, hook it, take the other pole and hook it. And now I can take the carabiner at the other end and hook them to my waist. I ordered this belt from Amazon. It's an exercise sled pulling belt where you see the guys put the belt around them and they hook up to a sled full of weights and they drag it. Same principle. So I put this belt on. I'm going to snug it up a little bit. Now I should be able to turn this right around and have these, but they'll follow way behind me. It's better if I have the D-rings closer to my hips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it facing this way, and I will just cross the rings over to my side, and then I can clip onto those and my poles will be at my side. All the videos I've watched have said that once you cross your poles, it's good to have just a small piece of Velcro. And that's going to hold them crossed, or it's supposed to. So let me get my boots and my jacket, and we'll go outside and we'll see how this works. So I've got the sled. I threw my toolbox in it. Now I'm going to put the belt on. And as I said earlier, I'm going to cross these and try and hook the poles here. If not, I will spin the belt around and clip it at the back. But first I want to see if it'll work this way. The idea is to keep the poles crossed. Step in front. I hook this one this way. I hook the other one on the other side. And now, as I walk forward, it should pull the sleigh behind me. Now, I think I'm gonna unclip while we're out here testing. Spin the belt around. By clipping it this way, it'll give me more distance ahead of the sled, but I fear I might lose a little bit of control. Let's have a walk around and see. And that's what I figured. I think I lose a little bit of control, but it's actually not that bad. I'll have to try it both ways with a load on and see how that goes. Because this light little load is a little too easy to pull. But now we've got a Pulk sled. Can't wait to test it out on a camping trip. Coming up soon. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on this one. Although it was just a bit of work in the house and a walk in the yard. Always a pleasure having you with me. I just made a Pulk sled using a Swiss Army knife. And it seems to work well. We'll know better when we load it. I guess we'll find out on our next trip. So if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, you may as well hit the notification bell. When you do, there'll be a drop down menu. In that menu, select all. That should let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.